So we want to just write the derivative for, suppose fx equal to sine x. We want to find the f prime x actually is equal to cosine theta. Okay, and so we use the definition of the derivative, which would be x, the limit of fx plus delta x minus fx divided by delta x. And so this would be equal to what? Be equal to limit delta x approach to 0, then f of x plus, so will be there. So the sine x plus delta x and minus sine x over delta x. Okay, so here, you look at in the textbook, and sine x plus delta x will be equal to sine x multiplied cosine delta x, and cosine x multiplied sine delta x by sine x. And then I can what? For the last part here, I can just factor out sine of x. So you will 1 minus cosine delta x. Okay? So now what we're going to do is just okay, so the first one, right? The first part here, I have cosine x, I have sine delta x over delta x. And the last part will be sine x here, sine x. Then here, 1 minus cosine delta x over delta x. So basically, we know how to get it. We know the cosine x and sine x. However, we do not know the limit for this when delta x go to 0. Similarly, we also need to know the limit of this thing when delta x approach to 0. So here, we are going to prove this sine theta over theta. When theta go to 0, it's equal to 1. So which will be this part, right? Delta is like theta here. So when this goes to 0, I'm going to prove this part we're going to approach to 1. And also, I'm also going to show what? Show the last part here. This we're going to approach to 0. 所以如果这一部分收敛到1，那这一个后面这个东西减所以不要来收敛到1的话。So we're going to show this limit going to equal to 0, and the limit here equal to 1. And to show this, actually we're going to use the famous squeeze theorem or sandwich theorem. 我们上一期讲过是叫夹击定理或三明治定理。Okay, and so let's look at this. To start with, we know this slice, the area for this slice, right? This will be equal to what? 1/2 theta r square. 所以这一块披萨它的这是半径是 r， 那角度是 theta。这一块它的面积是2/4 theta r 平方。OK。Now here， 那这个 the black one, the radius is 1。黑色的半径是1，所以它的面积多少 ？And will be r equal to 1, so be equal to 1/10 multiplied by theta. OK， 那在这个点，我把它往下做一个垂直线。So look at the triangle inside. The triangle inside, the area will be the base multiplied height. 我们要看这个 绿色这个三角形面积，因为它是刚好是落在里面，所以比较小。这个斜边是1，那这角度是西塔，对不对？所以对边是 sin 西塔，邻边是 cos 西塔。OK。The hypotenuse is 1, and that's the opposite side. That's the adjacent side. So opposite side will be equal to sin theta. Adjacent side equal to cosine theta, because the hypotenuse is equal to 1. So the area for this triangle will be equal to 1/2 sin theta multiplied by cosine theta. Okay. How about this part? So you look at the small one, the smallest one here. So I'm going to use this as the, 所以我们用这个 cosine theta 这边当做半径，往上画上去。那所以这一块小劈叉，它就会是推得就是1/2角度乘半径平方，角度是 theta， 半径是我们知道这个是 cosine theta。square. Well, basically just using this, I think it's very clear. Whoever think of this, just very clear, very smart people. 我现在是用3个，就是这3个它的面积的不等式，从这边开始。最大的这个是一个这一块slice 它的面积就是1/2乘上角度乘半径平方，它半径是1，我从1开始，所以这是最大。那再我把它从这个做个垂直线下来，所以这个垂直线变一个三角形，它就是1/2比乘高乘以除以2，对。那因为这个斜边是1，角度是 θ， 这 sin θ， 这 cos θ， 所以面积就是1/2比乘高。那再来，我把这个往上，就是这个当半径 cos θ 当半径，这样画个这个流线。假设我是要画个圆，它接触到这边，所以这个蓝色这样一小块，这劈叉的面积就会是1/2角度 θ， 半径是 cos θ， 所以 cos θ。Okay, so we have this equality. Okay. Okay. We just divide by 2 for both sides. 我们全部乘以2。Okay, then what to do? Then we just did divide by theta for each equality for each side. 好，所以我们再全部除以 theta， 所以 cosine square, cosine square theta, let's say equals sin theta over theta, let's say equal to 1. Okay, so based on this, then use the by wait. And we observe things emit we know cosine is 0 equal to 1 and square is equal to 1 它零度会等于1 so by 那这是1就不用讲了 by the squeeze theorem or sandwich theorem. We imply因为我让这条趋近一点的时候，这边跑到1，它这本来就是1了，所以它就被夹击，并且在中间它的极限就是1。Okay, so we already proved this one, this part. This go to 1. The limit of this one go to 1. Okay. So we only need to show this part. The limit of this part going just the approach 0. Then we will get the cosine theta for this theta. Just for this theta. For this. Okay. Questions so far? Any questions? Okay, now we're going to prove this part. You have no questions. We try to prove this part. The limit of 1 minus cosine theta over theta is equal to 0. Okay. Actually, probably CLH is kind of. Anyway, it just needs something just be clear. You just come up with approach. It doesn't mean it's unique. Anyway, what I'm going to do is just I'm going to multiply 1 plus cosine theta divided by 1 plus cosine theta. This is all right, right? I can do this. Why? Because the theta, when theta go to 0, right? This will approach to 2. 我要分子分母都不会跑到0，所以无所谓。Okay, then what you have will be limit theta equal to 0, theta 1 plus cosine theta, and on top with 1 minus cosine square, 1 minus cosine square theta. Okay, so I'm going to just replace that because I know the sine square plus cosine square equal to 1. Okay, so I will have sine square theta. Okay? Question so far? Any question? So you're kind of sharp, you probably know, you probably will just guess original what I'm going to do from this part. 因为我说比较眼睛要一张说大概打算怎么做。Okay, what I'm going to do is just break it into 2 parts. And so it's equal this approach to 2, this approach to 0. So equal to 0. Okay. Yeah. Much like that.
17.
What?
17.
Now you just need to, yep. So this will give you the answer. Okay, this is going to approach to 1, approach to 1, and this approach to 0. So the whole thing will be equal to cosine theta, cosine x here. Sorry. So equal to too difficult to write using mouse. Cosine x. Okay. Yep. So this part going to 1, this part is going to just approach to 0. So we have cosine x. Okay. And similarly, you can do that for, you can do it, we do it at home, just show that. Or use definition. Definition means just use this kind of definition. Use that definition, same thing, okay? So you will have this would be equal to limit delta x approach to 0 divided by delta x cosine x plus delta x minus cosine x. And then you try to prove that this limit equal to minus sine x. 就是用微分的定义跟上面一样，刚刚做出来就是负 sine x。OK。Question so far? Any question? Question? If now we're going to go through those three, the derivative for the basic trigonometric functions. 这6个基本的三角函数的它的微分，我们知道 sin 的微分是 cosine 微分是负 sin。我们利用这2个就可以把剩下4个都找出来，以记时忘记的话。OK。Okay, now we're going to show that tangent, okay? The derivative for tangent is secant squared, okay? That's equal to sin x over cosine x, right? So we'll have what? We will have so you'll get what? So you remember that it's g squared 这里的 f prime g minus f g prime over g squared. So you will have cosine square x on top b. The derivative of sine x will be cosine x multiplied by cosine x. Okay? F prime g. And minus f g prime will be minus sine x multiplied by derivative of cosine x will be minus sine x. Okay. F prime, okay, derivative of sine g and f g prime. Okay. So you get what you get the cosine square x, and then you have here be cosine square x, and here be as minus plus sine square x. So I will have cosine square x over cosine square x, which will be secant square. OK， 会问题。所以这边就是把它改成 sin 除以 cosine 所以分母的平方，分子微分成分母，减掉分母微分成分子，就可以这样。 It's homework to do that, try to prove it. Same technique, try to prove that the derivative for cotangent will be minus cosecant square. Okay. Now we're going to show that the derivative of secant will be secant multiplied by tangent. Okay. Is equal to 1 over sine x. I'm sorry, 1 over cosine x. Secant cosine x. So it will equal to minus cosine x minus 2 and dx d cosine x dx. Okay, so I will have so I will have minus, say minus 1 here. Cosine square x. Here I will have a minus sine x. So we will get minus minus is positive. So I have a sine x over cosine x. So, which would be cosine x over cosine x. Yep, that's right. So I have a secant x, tangent x. Okay, so you need to do just try to figure out the cotangent, derivative cotangent minus cosecant square, and also the derivative for cosecant will be cosecant multiplied by cotangent. Upside.